Hey, everybody. Hey, Blissful. By the way, since you're on here, I figured you would be on here. Sorry I haven't gotten back with you today. I've been busy most of the day. Steve took me out bowling. I ain't been bowling in years and I sucked, but I had a good time though. Uh, Steve said he sucked too, but I didn't think he sucked because I think he scored over 100 per game. But neither one of us are professional bowlers. But um, we went and we had a good time. And we bowled a couple of games, and then before that, there's a new Freddy's in town. This is a restaurant. The other one is over on Shelbyville Road, and as far as I know, Steve's not been to it, and so neither one of us have been to it. Um, I heard somebody in there. This one was opened in the Fern Creek area, so it's a little bit closer to us for us to go. And they have it sort of reminded me of Culver's because they have custard in there. And you could get like I guess they can't call them concrete mixers because that's what Culver's calls them, but they call them concretes. And I was going to get a key lime one because I saw that advertised on their menu, but maybe that's only select Freddy's that had those. So I ended up getting a turtle one, which was, oh my gosh, it was very good. Kind of decadent, but it was good. And I also got a bacon cheese steak burger, and it was very good too. And the fries were those really, not really shoestring fries; they were like super skinny fries. But the place was so busy because it just opened this past Tuesday, and so there were people behind my chair, while we were, sitting there waiting to get called to go up there and get our food. It's one of those numbering systems, and they call out your number, and you go up there and you get your food and you bring it back to your table. Um, but so anyway, I heard this woman behind me say, "This is just like Steak and Shake." But I wanted to say, no, it's not like Steak and Shake. It's better than Steak and Shake. The only thing good about Steak and Shake, in my opinion, was their shakes. The other food was kind of, you know. But this, I thought that the fries were actually good. The hamburgers were really good, or steak burgers rather. The concretes were very good. They also had like brownie sundaes and turtle sundaes, and they had milkshakes and different things like that. So, and I think they got like chili cheese fries and stuff like that if you just don't want, plain French fries. But anyway, I don't know if everybody has a Freddy's close to them, but I would recommend it. I especially thought the burgers were really good and the concretes were really good. They do have Pepsi products to drink, or at least the one around here does. So you might want to keep that in mind as well. But anyway, just letting everybody know, including Blissful, what I was busy doing today. Oh, and we also got groceries today as well. So, and then all that was, fun, except for groceries. Groceries is kind of, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's tiring. But I got home and me and Steve were just kind of resting this afternoon, and you know, we watched the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. If you've never seen that, and trust me, this is about a real family, part of which Jessica White, the dancing outlaw, is part of. So if that's any indication, if you know who Jessica White is, you'll kind of get a good indicator of what type of family he has. But we were rewatching that. Very entertaining, I guess, documentary type of film. Um, but it has to be seen to be believed. Is all I'll say about that. And then we were watching, or I was watching part of the Legend of Boggy Creek, and this was the Joe Bob version that he did on the first marathon before the last drive-in show actually kicked off. Hey, Darren. Um, so anyway, about midways through Legend of Boggy Creek, I thought, well, I better go back there, and because I realized I hadn't put out any promotional material for this watch along. I'll take my hat off there. Sorry for the bushy hair. It's clean, but it's a little wild because I haven't, had a chance to straighten it yet. I was going to straighten it earlier today and didn't get around to it. But anyway, so I came back here, and my computer for the last 3 days, my gaming computer that I use for streams, was coming up stuff about the motherboard and the hard drive and all that stuff. And so what I'd been doing was shutting the computer off and turning it back on, and usually it will load into Windows. Well, me and Steve were trying to figure out how to get that not to come up, because I was like, I don't know if I clicked something and didn't know I did. I know I hadn't been inside the computer doing anything, because people were talking about, if you press a button on the motherboard, on some of these motherboards, it will open up something called an OC genie, or overclocking genie. And me and Steve don't use our computers, these gaming computers, for gaming. We use them for streaming, because we've been told that they're good for that. Okay, so we never had a reason to overclock our computers. So I could not for the life of me, because I was like, I know I haven't been inside the computer to press any button. So one of the things that was suggested online was to pop out the CMOS battery out of the motherboard, which looks like a round watch type of battery. So we did that, and I turned off the computer, unplugged the computer, took the side panel off, popped that CMOS battery out, waited a little bit, put it back in. And then we couldn't get past that screen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so mad. I'm ashamed of myself now, but I was fussing at Steve, and it wasn't his fault. I was kicking things and everything else, because I wasn't kicking Steve, but I was kicking objects and stuff, and I slammed the gaming computer, and a piece that's kind of sticks on off the front of it and everything else. It's where I didn't freaking break it. But I was having a temper tantrum, because I was like, in a couple of hours, I'm supposed to be doing a live stream. And I was just so angry, and I shouldn't have blamed Steve, and I apologized to him later. But in my anger, I thought we should have never popped that CMOS battery out of there. And but Steve helped me get it working, bless his heart, again, because he looked up some other stuff, and it turns out that we did need to take the CMOS battery out, because that will reset everything. It won't blank out your computer, but it'll reset the computer as far as the motherboard is concerned. And so we needed to leave it out for about 5 minutes, popped it back in. And then it comes up a screen like an initial setup and wants to know what type of fan you have. And Steve at first was picking the wrong selection. So then he figured out it was a tower fan. I know it's a long way to get around to this, but this will allow more people to get in here anyway. So he picked the right one. Then he had to figure out how to save everything. And then we let it reboot. And thank God, when it rebooted, it booted into Windows, whereas it wasn't before. So hence things getting a little tight. I was like, I want to eat something. I feel like I need to eat something now before, I get started with this watch along. So that is why I pushed it to 7:30 instead of 7. So apologies there, but technical issues do happen from time to time. Thank you, Blissful. You said please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Blissful says yay. Yes, I agree, especially women. Everyone needs a little decadence. Hey, Super Batman Nerd, you say, I totally agree with what you and Jay said yesterday about Hollywood being woke with all the movies today. Well, thank you, Super Batman Nerd. I'm sure Jay will appreciate that comment as well. We did have a very nice day, Blissful, other than me having my temper tantrum over my computer. You say it sounds like a great day. I dusted, LOL. Well, dusting's important too. Hey, Darren. Darren says, what's up, gang? And Blissful, you say, leave the curls alone. They're beautiful. Well, thank you. You're always so nice. Um, does everybody know what the watch along is we're going to do tonight? I've been advertising it and doing all the general stuff I do. But in case you are in the know or don't know if you're in the right place, I am doing a Phantasm watch along tonight. And don't know how many of you guys and gals are going to be watching along tonight, but I have the Phantasm remastered. This is the Blu-ray and DVD set. I do have the sphere set. You can see a little bit of the white box there on top of my shelf that has the actual sphere in it and all that. But I was lazy and didn't want to open all that up to get it out. So hence I just pulled this one off of my shelf. So that's the one I'm using. Some of you may already own this movie on your own and can watch it that way. If not, I do have a link to Tubi. Now, I know Darren can't utilize Tubi in the UK, so I'm hoping if he's watching along that he either has his own copy or there are other ways to watch it. You can watch it on Shudder. Now, I know Darren also doesn't have access to Shudder either, but some of you might in the States. So if you have access to Shudder, you can watch it on Shudder. Tubi will have commercials unless you've got the commercial-free version, which I guess is kind of like the cracked version of Tubi. Also, Amazon Prime has it for free with commercials as well. Or you can buy or rent it from YouTube. So there's several different ways. Some of the ways might not be the optimum way to watch it. But I wanted to offer up several options for you to be able to watch this. Hey, X-Ray, say, yo, Daner, sup? Yeah, just getting ready to do this Phantasm watch along. Hey, Daniel, you say, love how you open the locked door. Blissful says, hey, X-Ray, you little ray of sunshine. Daniel, you also say, love cutting off the fingers. Okay, so also in the chat, in addition to a link for Tubi, I do have a link to join me live on the stream. If anybody wants to come in at any point in time to join me live on the stream for this watch along for Phantasm, feel free. If you need me to add this back into the chat, if it gets lost in the chat, I do have that and the Tubi link starred. However, I don't know if you guys and gals on your end have two columns up at the top of the chat, one for live and one for starred. If you do, you can simply click on the starred and it will show all the things that have been starred. And it kind of puts them separate from the rest of the chat. Also, this is where my super chats go if somebody gives me a super chat in the middle of a stream. Actually, you say Phantasm was like a live action 70s Disney movie, except with tits and blood. That's right, X Ray. I completely agree, Daniel. Angus was an iconic villain. Leslie, you say you'll be listening because you can't find your charger. Okay, that's cool. Um, I just like having people here. If you want to watch the movie, that's great. If you don't want to or can't for whatever reason, that's cool too. Um, so I'm probably gonna give it another minute or so to allow people that are going to be watching it to get it queued up. Now on my Blu-ray, I have it queued up 30 seconds in. It's just after the Well Go USA logo. Now, if you're using any other version other than the most recent versions that came out, you probably won't have that Well Go USA logo come up. But if you are using either this version or I believe the Sphere Set version, you're probably going to have that Well Go USA logo come up. So I'm 30 seconds in, just after the Well Go USA logo has went off. And so we'll get started in another minute or so. And then if anybody wants to join me live on the stream, if you come in later, you need a timestamp, you want to come in live on the stream and need me to repost that link, just ask. I'll be glad to do it. You can come in at any point in time, barring it not being 30 seconds before the movie ends, because you're not going to get much screen time if you come in 30 seconds before the movie is over. So I hope everybody's doing good out there. We're getting ready to. I almost forgot that this was a long weekend. This was like a 3-day weekend. I was thinking, oh, so after Sunday, I got to go back to work. But no, I don't. So me and Steve both get Monday off, which is nice. I'm looking forward to that. Hey, David, you say, yes, David, I am on the black screen after the logo. You say on Shutter the logo fades at 11 seconds. Okay, that's good to know for those of you that might be watching it on Shutter. This is fine, Darren. I want people to do this. So Darren says, shameless plug, but if any of you guys are interested, me and Dirk are having B playing on An Hour to Kill tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. American time. Hope you don't mind, Dana. No, sir, I do not mind. I love helping promote other people's things as well. And Blissful is right. It's not a shameless plug, it's an awesome stream. X-Ray, you say Reggie Bannister's epic ponytail gave Dana vapors. I love Reggie. I love Reggie, the character, so much, and I love Reggie Bannister in general. So much so that my pit bull boxer mix is named Reggie after Reggie Bannister and his character in Phantasm. And actually, my new guinea pig, Jody, is named after two different people, Jodie Foster being one, because I was going to call the new guinea pig Clarice after Jodie Foster's character in Silence of the Lambs, but Steve was like, why don't you just call her Jodie? And also there'll be a connection to Phantasm. I was like, yeah, that's cool. I kind of thought about that and then forgot. So hence her name is Jodie now. That's right, X-Ray. He made guy ponytails cool way before that fruit, Steven Seagal. You're welcome, Darren. You said thanks, Blissful and Dana. X-Ray, you say Reggie greater than Ash. Fight me. No, that's okay. That is okay. I don't have a problem with that, with people having different opinions about things. All right, guys and gals, are y'all all ready to go? It is now 7:53. I thought we'd go ahead and get this party started. Um, Not hearing anybody yelling, wait, stop, I'm not ready. So if anybody comes in here later, we got 13 people in here now. I thought I'd strike while the iron was hot. We'll go ahead and get this started and we'll get people up to speed if they come in here later. So let's go ahead and do the 3, 2, 1 and hit play when I say play. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. Now we're coming up on the, actually, this is the Bad Robot logo. And now we're to the Abco Embassy logo. So we got 3 different logos, although I had went past the Wellgo USA one. And I must admit that Phantasm is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And as Joe Bob so eloquently puts it, sometimes or he says about this movie, it doesn't make a lick of sense sometimes, um, or maybe all the time, but it's fun. I think Don Coscarelli, the director, put us all into this. Um, the acting is fantastic in it. Angus Scrimm is perfect as the evil tall man. And fortunately, I got to meet Angus Scrimm before he passed away. And he was just as sweet as can be. Very, nothing at all like the tall man. Very grandfatherly, like, I guess would be the best way to describe him. So we're seeing some people fooling around in a graveyard. I don't know how many of you guys and gals have ever fooled around in a graveyard. I have not. So we're seeing what will be known in Phantasm lore as the Lady in Lavender, who's going to town on this guy here, Tommy. And if we watch here in a second, something very strange is going to happen to the Lady in Lavender here in just a few seconds. So he's just relaxing. We're seeing some boobies there. Oh man, she got a little knife. So we see her face change to that of the tall man, or what you're soon gonna know as the tall man. X-Ray, you say this movie felt the closest in tone to a Lucio Fulci movie. This was an American version of an Italian horror flick. That's perfect, X-Ray. You say this was like the white trash version of Suspiria. And you also say it's weird. Michael and his older bro had sex with the tall man, technically. Yeah, which is weird. So we're getting the introduction to Jody and Reggie there. And we're going to find out that Jody and Mike, his younger brother, uh, have lost their parents. Um, and this is what Jody's doing. He told Reggie he was going to see somebody or visit somebody, and he's going to where his parents. I hate to say it this way, but are housed in this mortuary. And these sets are incredible that the crew built for these scenes. Actually, you say it's funny. Evil Dead was inspired by that movie Equinox, but you could see a bit of it also in Phantasm, especially when they go into that red dimension, tall man and his midget cronies come from. Exactly. You know, Equinox is a movie I need to see, but haven't yet seen, X-Ray. So we're getting the introduction to Michael Baldwin here playing Mike in the film, or as he went by here at this point, a Michael Baldwin. And I have met both Michael Baldwin and Bill Thornberry, who played Jody. I met Reggie Bannister. I met Angus Scrimm. I met Don Coscarelli just before that. So the only person I didn't go up and meet and get a signature on my old Sphere set was Kat Lester, who plays the lady in Lavender. And I probably should have, but I guess I was more focused on getting the main people, or what I consider the main people. Actually, you say Equinox is okay. It's more of a curiosity. I like the goofy effects. One of the characters has the same hairstyle and color scheme Ash has. That's awesome, though. So we're going to come up to what I consider one of the big lines or big things that people remember in this movie, other than the tall man going, "Boy," there's other lines that are very memorable or that people can think back to and repeat at will. So one of these is coming up here shortly. There it is. The funeral is about to begin, sir. The tall man scaring Jody there. So the funeral that they're at is for Tommy. And Tommy was the guy, of course, in the graveyard at the beginning who got stabbed. Um, and they're under the impression that he killed himself. And so Jody had made the decision. You're hearing the voiceover of Jody and Reggie talking, and Reggie saying it was a good idea not to let Mike come to the funeral. But Mike is there. He's just not in the funeral home. David, you say Hideka motorcycle product placement. There's also a post on his wall that money helped with production. A poster on his wall. Oh, okay. X-Ray, you say, speaking of posters, the Japanese poster for Phantasm is pretty rad. Looks like something out of an 80s, 90s Trapper Keeper. Oh, yeah, I think I've seen that, X-Ray. So I believe that coffin or casket may have been paper mache or something. And that's Reggie Bannister's father there, by the way, as the priest there. Can't you tell? But they said that thing was still really heavy, even though it was paper mache. And this is the coolest car ever, in my opinion. So this is always funny to me. So we're seeing the tall man. We saw how heavy that casket seemed to be. And the tall man's picking it up all by himself and not leaving it to be put in the grave. He's putting it back in the hearse, right? So why is he doing that? We're going to find out. And so Mike mouths the words, "What the fuck?" Which I just find so hilarious. So then we see Mike going to see, I guess, like a palm reader, psychic, this old woman and her granddaughter, and he must have went there more than once. And he goes there, not only to talk about he's afraid that Jody's going to leave him behind and go off on his own after the parents died. Jody stayed with him for a while, but now he's afraid Jody's going to leave and let him stay with an aunt or something. But he's also scared by what he saw not very long ago at Morningside. David, in my case, I go back to the original more than I do any of the others because this one to me is so classic. Um, I'm not saying I don't like the sequels, with the exception of Ravager. Ravager depressed the hell out of me, and I've said that more than once. I just think that was a terrible way to end the franchise because Angus is gone now. Um, Don Coscarelli didn't direct it, and it's another one of those cases, in my opinion, where too little, too late. Um, if they were going to make a Phantasm Ravager, they should have made it 2, maybe 3 years at best after the fourth one. Or they should have just ended it with the fourth one. Because, yeah, I have no interest in going back and watching Ravager. Even though Mike and Jody and Reggie and Angus Grimm are as the tall man are all in there. But the thing is, Angus Grimm was so sick and feeble most of the time that it just wasn't the same. And the fact that they made Reggie seem like a senile old man who had been stuck in a nursing home for God knows how long, suffering from dementia, they said. And I'm like, what in the heck? It was just terrible, terrible, depressing. Um, But that's okay, David. You say for some reason you liked Ravager, or at least the concept. I know it's not a popular opinion at all. Well, it really, to me, it doesn't matter if it's a popular opinion or not. Everybody has a right to their own opinion. And frankly, I don't mind if people give their opinions as long as they're not being nasty to other people in the chat, and you are not. X-Ray, you say I watched Phantasm 2 first. It's my favorite. It feels almost like a video game with the cool weapons and battles. So we're seeing scenes here of Jody, riding a bike and Mike chasing him down, and we're hearing the voiceover of Jody talking about, he knows I'm going to leave, but the fortune teller's daughter or whoever, or a granddaughter, is telling Mike that, don't worry, if he leaves, he'll take you with him. And he's like, I hope she's right, talking about the girl's grandmother. And the granddaughter says, she is. She always is. So we're seeing the flashback of this scene where Mike says, what the fuck? And then we're seeing a little more where he just takes off on his motorcycle. And you can clearly tell that some of those scenes are not Michael Baldwin. So this box appears, and the granddaughter says, Grandmother wants to play a little game. And so they tell him to put his hand in the box, and he's asking, what's in it? Like anybody would. You don't want to just put your hand in a box and not know what's happening. Now, he's scared. He says it hurts. He can't get his hand out. The granddaughter is saying, don't fear. She just keeps saying, don't fear. And when he calms down, he's able to get his hand out of the box. And they're telling him it's a reflection, fear is the real killer, and that's what grandmother wanted you to learn. And the granddaughter says, it's all in your mind. So he gives them money, lays it on the box, and the whole thing disappears. And then Mike leaves. And they say, come and visit us again soon. And then the grandmother starts laughing like we pulled a real good trick on that boy, didn't we? So I believe this is the fortune teller's granddaughter here. Uh, some people have said there was some confusion about who that girl was. And here we get Reggie in his ice cream truck. Like great late 70s ice cream truck, by the way. And so he's going to come and they're going to have a little jam session, him and Jody. I don't know. I just think this is another scene that's just the coolest of them jamming. And I like this song. I wish they had played the complete version on here. A very fun, bluesy little song. Yeah, David, I agree with you. You say this would probably be cut in a modern film. Great character moment. Because I don't think people really care about characterization anymore. Or really care about you, or really, it doesn't make one bit of difference to anybody anymore. It seems if people get invested in the characters, if people like the characters, they just simply make them disposable now, completely disposable. So if you had your audio on, you would hear a scream there. This is a cool little place too, Dune's Cantina, that Jody pulls up. Oh man, I love that car. If I had a license, this is hell. I'd want this car anyway. So we see the lady in lavender there at the front of the bar there. And Jody comes in. He's talking to the bartender. You can tell he's been there several times. Yeah, hot as love. That's what. Yeah, that's what he says. We're hot as love. Um, X-ray. That's right. You felt that these were family and good friends. So it didn't take Jody long to pick the lady in lavender up. And actually, if you listen to the commentary, then uh, we find out that Bill Thornberry's character um, was actually the one that we seen the legs of in the beginning scene when it was supposed to be Tommy and the lady in lavender. because she knew Bill Thornberry and felt more comfortable doing that scene with him than she did the guy playing Tommy. Uh, so Mike is following Jody again, and this time the lady in lavender is taking his older brother to the graveyard, and we already saw what happened when Tommy was there, so we're kind of wondering, what's going to happen to Jody here. H.R. you say his guitar and ice cream truck was all Reggie needed to get that sweet poontang pie. And as the series goes along, we see Reggie getting all the chicks. And this is what all guys want, especially young, unattached guys. They want a woman to just come on to them like that. Hell, maybe married guys want that too, but it's exciting to them. Yeah, X-Ray. Yeah, he had sex with Grace Jones in Phantasm 3. So this is hilarious. Okay, you're going to see the boobs, then look at Mike's face. Looks like Bill Thornberry had a kind of hairy ass there, by the way, for you ladies. X-Ray, you say Phantasm 3 was a very weird movie. LOL. The black militant lesbians with nunchucks came out of nowhere. The funniest scene was with that homicidal kid with the razor frisbee. Yeah, but I still like it though. The only one of the franchise that depressed me was Ravager. So you got these little Jawa looking creatures running around. And there's been some, oh, I love that too. What the heck? And he's got the girl's panties in his mouth, and he's telling her, I think that's my little brother. I think he's got some kind of problem. He's running, pulling his pants up, leaving the girl alone on the gravestone, chasing Mike down. But there's been some speculation about, did Don Coscarelli like steal the Jawa idea for, you know, for his creatures in this. So Mike's trying to tell Jody what he saw, and Jody's not believing him. He said it was little and brown and low to the ground. He's he says it's probably just a gopher and he. Mike said it wasn't any gopher. And then he wants to know where that girl is, and he says she's waiting back there for me, you idiot. I love the camaraderie between the two brothers in this film. You could almost believe that they were brothers in real life. Yeah, Dave, this music is so Italian giallo. I have the vinyl too. I believe Steve got me the Phantasm vinyl a while back. So he's going to let Mike take the car and go home. He's going to go back and look for the girl. X-Ray, you said that's another reason this film feels Italian inspired. And Italiano flicks ripped the fuck out of movies that were popular at the time. The Jawa henchmen were no coincidence. So the lady in lavender is gone. So I guess we could say that by Mike following them, he saved Jody's ass. That is the ugliest crocheted blanket. I hate those colors. It would be pretty if it was any different colors other than like brown and black and white or whatever that is. So here's the this was a big scene from the trailer. I think this is a cool shot too. X-ray, you say Phantasm was woke before it was cool. Tall man was trans. David, you said, wait, he ran after Jody with the panties in his mouth. Does this mean the tall man's going commando? X-ray says the tall man was kinky. Y'all bringing up things I hadn't even thought about with the tall man. Oh, there's that cool ass car again. How many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop? That's what I think about every time I see him with this sucker. So he sees the tall man walking across the street. And we're going to see something here because the tall man's going to walk past Reggie opening his ice cream truck and see that cold air coming out of there, cold smoke, steam, whatever. And the tall man is just going to, he acts like one of two ways, like he's getting off on it or it's hurting him. And I think we're supposed to assume it's hurting him. That's a great shot, too. And I saw that, there were Mr. Misty floats and stuff advertised. I honestly thought a Mr. Misty was something that Dairy Queen came up with. So now Jody's back at the bar and, he's asking the bartender, that chick I left with ever come back here? And he's like, what's happened? Did you get a hold of something you couldn't handle? So he's telling the bartender they were messing around at Morningside in the cemetery. So there are a lot of humorous scenes in this movie. I think that that's what makes a great balance and makes this movie so much fun because there are scary scenes and there are funny scenes, powerful action sequences, a cool ass car, a great villain with the tall man. I mean, so this definitely has everything. So Mike's working on the car and then he hears something. He's not sure what it is. He's still a little spooked by what happened in the cemetery. So somebody's shaking the car. Well, that's not good. So Mike's scared, so he's kind of curling up underneath the car. And then the jack falls down, the car falls on him. So he's mashed between the car and the floor. And he sees some shoes and he hits Mike in the foot. He said, you hit my fucking foot, man. And he says, I know. You're not going to believe this, but these things were here and they're going to get me. Now, this wouldn't get talked about now, but he says, "Are you sure that wasn't the, well, we'll say mentally disabled, but you can guess he said the R word. I just don't want to make anybody pissed off and get me yanked off of YouTube." But he said, maybe it was that R word, kid Timmy from down the street. Um, and so Mike's really mad because his brother's not believing him about this. I agree, X-Ray. The Phantasm balls were dope as fuck. They were the original drones. So Mike's going to do a little investigating on his own here. So we can assume that Jody's asleep. So I'm guessing that the house is not far from Morningside because he basically walks or runs there. Could you imagine how creepy a mortuary or funeral home would be at nighttime? I think it would be more creepy than the cemetery itself. Actually, you said Mike is too goddamn nosy. I did too, X-Ray. I still yet wonder about. You say I always wondered about that hammer shotgun shell thing. Would it work in real life? I'm too big of a weenie to try it out because I don't like loud noises. I don't like explosive noises or gunshots or anything like that. I've always been like that. So I'd be too big of a weenie to actually try it out. That's right, X Ray. We need a horror version of Mythbusters. Oh, goodness. So sorry. So Mike is, essentially he's breaking and entering. And they said that Michael Baldwin loved getting in these caskets and hiding and stuff. I mean, maybe when I was a kid, before I was claustrophobic, I could have done stuff like that and thought it was cool. There's actually behind the scenes footage of Michael Baldwin hiding in they're open a crack and he's got like a flashlight or a lighter or something, and he's looking out and um, but there's something inherently creepy about a room full of open caskets. And this sort of reminds me, y'all were talking about Fulci earlier. I think X Ray was talking about Fulci earlier. And this completely reminds me of City of the Living Dead, one scene in that. Um, so I guess this guy's like a security guy, caretaker guy. And there we can see Mike is actually in one of the caskets and he's using his lighter to keep it open a little bit. David, you say, I wish I had seen this as a kid. I always related to Tommy and Friday 5. This could, or Friday 4, sorry. This could have been the same. Yeah. I didn't see this one till much later either, but I've loved it ever since. So essentially, the tall man is sending this guy around because maybe they heard a noise or something. Maybe they heard the glass breaking. So Mike's thinking, the coast is clear. I'm going to get out of here. Liz, will you say, I'm thinking a room full of dolls or open caskets. I'm choosing caskets. Well, I know how you feel about dolls, Whistle. Hey, Coco, you say, I had to go to a funeral home and pick out a casket as a form of punishment for uh, betting, busted for underage drinking. Caskets are expensive. Yes, yes, they are. Oh, you say for getting busted for underage drinking. Coco, you say I asked which was the cheapest and said I'll take it. So here we're seeing the flying spheres now, which these are just completely awesome. So the security guy, caretaker guy's got a hold of Mike there. And here comes the sphere, and he bites into the guy's arm. It's a lot of blood there. And then, boop, it sticks in his head and starts drilling. This is classic scene here. I love this. And then the blood starts shooting out of the hole in the back. And then we see some yellow stuff that runs out that I believe is supposed to be urine. So that guy must have really had to go to the bathroom before he got killed. So here's a creepy shot of the tall man coming up behind Mike, and it's one of those cases where you can feel the hairs on the back of your neck stiffen. And he turns around, he's just like, um. Then it's like, oh shit. And he's just thinking, I'm in trouble, I think, at this point. But he's still unsure. And he and the tall man are walking towards each other, walking towards each other. And then Mike takes off running with the tall man in close pursuit of him. Uh, so he closed the door, and then this is a cool shot. You can see that the tall man's fingers are still in the door, and there they get cut off. And you hear this weird noise coming from the tall man, and we see a bunch of yellow stuff coming out. That shouldn't come out, right? So he's still wanting to prove to his brother Jody that something strange is going on. So he takes one of the tall man's fingers, and there's the little Jawa creatures in their brown robes trying to get Mike. Coco, you say, I ain't watched one of these flicks since I was a kid in the late 80s. I remember the blade ball and this creature crawling out of a canister in like a different dimension. It was very weird to me. Yeah, it's a bizarre movie. But I just find it so entertaining every time I watch it. So now we're seeing that Mike is made it back home, but he's fallen asleep on the steps. He's got a gun in his lap, and we can only assume the tall man's finger is in that locked box. So Jody gets up, finds Mike on the steps. He's probably thinking, what in the hell is going on here? So he very carefully takes the gun off Mike's lap, which is probably a good idea, and unloads it, which wakes Mike up. Yes, they are, David. Those steps are 70s fantastic. And so he tells Jody, and he says, and that's what's in the box. So Jody opens up the box slowly and sees the finger in there. It looks like it's in mustard. And he says, okay, I believe you. And he wants to know what's going on up there. And so Mike tells him the rest of the story about what happened after Tommy's funeral, about the tall man picking up the casket all by himself and put it in a hearse and drove off. And then, of course, Jody goes back to, you're crazy. It must have weighed over 500 pounds. I helped carry it myself. But he does agree that something weird's going up on at Morningside. So they're planning on going to see the sheriff, I guess. And he says, go get your box. And so Mike's not hearing anything, any noises anymore. And he's like, that's funny. So he takes a chance and opens it up. And this little creature comes out. And I know it's hokey, guys and gals, but this is still so great, especially when it comes up on Mike's head through his hair there. So Mike is fighting with, and Michael Baldwin had to just throw himself around. There was really nothing in that jacket at that point. So Jody's helping him. They're going down the stairs. Bill Thornberry's thrashing around, and they're saying, let's go to the garbage disposal. I mean, Bill Thornberry and Michael Baldwin sell this part of the scene here. So they think maybe they've got it. Well, that rent that what would be a vintage jean jacket now. And then Reggie comes over and he's like, hey guys, he doesn't know anything's going on. He said, I thought I'd come over and just see what's going on. And he thought Mike might like to help him when the kids get out of school, give out ice cream. And there we go. Again, a little hokey, but it's fun. This creature came out of the garbage disposal, out of the drain. And the look on Reggie's face during all this is classic. And then he says, what the hell is going on? And I can't do it like Reggie Bannister does. So now they mean business. Now, Jody says, don't point a gun at a man unless you plan to shoot him, and don't shoot a man unless you intend to kill him. And then no warning shots. Warning shots are bullshit. You shoot to kill or you don't shoot at all. Now, he's wanting to leave Mike there, and he says, don't follow me. So he says, I'm just going to go up there and take a look. So, guys and gals, I'm going to leave the movie going. So you can leave yours going, but I am going to run to the restroom, and I'm going to grab myself a quick snack to eat, and then I will be right back. Okay, guys and gals, I'm back here. Let's see. Um, You know, I was a little disappointed. I thought these were like Doritos. I didn't look at them fast. These are just yellow tortilla chips. So I may have to go and get me some um, bean dip, Southwest bean dip here in a little bit. I did. That's what I get for not paying attention. I thought they were like Doritos. I thought they were cheesy. But anyway, X-Ray, you said those midgets scared the shit out of me when I was a wee lad. Midgets and dolls were freaky in the 1980s. The freakiest tiny monster was a closet monster in that Tales from the Dark Side episode. I agree with that. Coco, you say, X-Ray, I love that episode of the closet creature. X-Ray, you say, I couldn't sleep right for years because of that episode. Okay, so this is a cool shot. The stuff leading up to it was a cool shot. Yeah, I do need some dip for them chips, and I'm gonna go get some in just a second. Um, you may hear the Backstreet Boys. Steve is watching that movie. This Is the End. Does anybody remember that from a few years back? Uh, and the Backstreet Boys are on it. I mean, I remember it being a funny movie, but I didn't. I was gonna do this, so I didn't have time to watch that. So they call them dwarves, which probably wouldn't be PC now. So they're saying one of those dwarves, as they call them, was driving the hearse. And we find out that that's Tommy. But why is Tommy so little now? So we're going to find that out soon. So they're calling Reggie. And they said, we got one of them, or Jody does. Remember payphones, everybody? And he says, Reg, bring your truck. So it hence bring your ice cream truck. And Reggie's like, you didn't tell me the dwarf was Tommy. He says, hell, we buried him on Monday and look what they did to him. He's only 3 feet long. He must still weigh 200 pounds. And they don't know what's that yellow shit coming out of his head? They're still trying to figure things out here. David, you say, is Shutter 1080? I should have grabbed the disc. I remember the remaster looking much better than this. I'm not sure, David, if it is 1080. I thought it was the remastered version, but I have found that my actual discs do primarily look better. There's Steve. Primarily look better than the stuff on Shutter. So it could be possible that that there's a little bit of difference. Coco, you say, oh man, try the lime tortilla chips bomb, or you can just squirt lime juice on them. Well, Steve actually has some guacamole chips. Steve, I thought these were like Doritos, and they're not. They're just yellow corn chips. So I was a little disappointed.
Disappointed?
Yeah, I'm going to have to get some bean dip.
I think the only way to make this work is to open a bottle.
Oh, that's the only way it'll talk. Steve, so I got him that copy of This Is the End several years ago, and it has a bottle opener. It's supposed to talk.
But unless the batteries died, it could have died.
Blissful says hi to you, Steve.
Well, hello, Miss Blissful.
Hey, Russell. You say, hey, Dana Bliss and the rest. I love this conversation, too, where they're sitting around trying to discuss what to do with the tall man. So, again, Jody wants Mike out of the line of fire. So they're taking them to the antique store. But see, because there were some scenes that were cut out of the film, which you can watch as extras, we don't even know who the hell these girls are. I'm thinking one of the girls is somebody that Jody's been fooling around with, and then I think the other girl is her older sister. So in this antique shop, Mike finds a picture of what appears to be the tall man. And it basically comes to life in his hand, sort of like the a picture of Pennywise that the kids are looking at in a scrapbook that Mike Hanlon has when they're kids. So he's seeing all these old pictures and stuff. And yeah, it's Angus Scrimm. Yeah, we know he's the tall man. But in later sequels, we find out that this guy was actually Jebediah Morningside, and he got, you know, possessed by some entity that turned him into the tall man. So there he is. I love the looks that Angus Scrimm gives in this movie. So Mike's frantic. He's like, "You got to take me home. No questions. You got to take me home." Sorry, Coco, I didn't see you say Steve, so I'll have to tell Steve that you said hi to him. So Mike kind of leans back, closes his eyes, and then he's all of a sudden in Morningside, and the tall man's coming towards him. And he's just kind of like hypnotized. And then the little Jawa creatures drag him inside the little drawers or whatever you want to call them. So the ladies are taking. I'm thinking actually one of the older woman that's driving, the older girl, actually works for Reggie in the ice cream shop. There's a deleted scene where she's there behind the counter in the ice cream shop. Oh no, Coco. I mean, he'll be glad that somebody said hello to him. He likes that. So they found Reggie's truck turned over on its side. Mike gets out of the BW bug and he's going to check things out. And right around this point in time, things get a little confusing in Phantasm World. Okay. Because we're going to see a lot of switching storylines, uh, and time shifting and all that stuff. Okay. So Mike's slowly opening the ice cream truck. And he sees more of that yellow shit. And he's like, let's get out of here quick. And then the little Jawa creatures Mike knows this isn't good. He's like, let's get out of here. And she opened it and she shouldn't have. And the girls are getting attacked. We think this might be the end of the girls. And like one of the little Jawa creatures is fighting Mike. And succeeds in making his head break the glass there, and then he just flips over backwards and the car takes off. So we're left thinking that possibly the girls are going to be dead now. So I'm thinking maybe Mike and Jody have a psychic link here. Russell, you said I love the Phantasm films, even part two, the film they don't talk about. I like part two, even though Michael Baldwin doesn't return as Mike. With James LaGrosse. I may be pronouncing that wrong. TJ will get me later. So Mike is, assuming that Reggie is dead and also that they got Sally and Susie. So Jody's not going to let Mike go with him, and he's screaming, let me go, damn it, and son of a bitch. And he's saying, you're never coming back. So he locks Mike in his room, sticks a screwdriver in there. That doesn't look like a very comfortable bed, by the way. So here is where he's going to create the explosive device that he's going to use to get out of his bedroom. So he's thinking about it. He's got a push pin or a thumbtack, rather. This would never occur to me, though. Even if it would work, it wouldn't occur to me. Oh, he's put the thumbtack in the bullet. And then he's putting the little tape on there. Russell, he's stopped eating Pringles because they're not real potatoes. David, you said, what is that paper bag? It's been a few shots. Yeah, it looks like some science fiction book, but I'm not really sure what it is. So Jody is on his way. I don't know what Steve's listening to, but Jody's on his way to Morningside to see if he, the possibility of saving Reg and the girls. This is one very resourceful kid here, or young man. Oh, and damn. Tall man says, I've been waiting for you. And he's got his fingers back now. And he's going to throw him in the back of the hearse. So everybody's going to Morningside, basically. Ooh, nachos sounds good, Blissful. You say you got the munchies and made nachos. Coco, you say, what's weird is that every time I eat Pringles, I tend to get a headache. Ooh, that would definitely make me not want to eat Pringles. So Mike's trying to bust his way out of this damn hearse. But he's got that gun, so he blows, shoots the window out, makes the tire have a blowout. Then basically just jumps out. And the hearse blows up. But is that the end of the tall man? I think not. uh, David, I may have been able to do a double feature if I didn't get started 30 minutes later than I intended to. Um, but I'm glad that you're having fun and everything. I am doing another watch along, not for a Phantasm movie, but for Stand By Me tomorrow night. And hopefully I'll be able to start at 7 p.m. Eastern time like I plan to do with this one. Rosie said, I love them fighting the bug and it landed on Reggie's head. Good acting when they pretend they were and they had no bug. Yeah, exactly. So Jody can't stand it. He's got to see, are my parents still in here? And because it seems that the tall man's been turning people into little dwarves, little. And he's like, he has to be in there. My dad has to be in there. The body has to be in there. So he really can't look. And this is like the Phantasm Spiro vision there, where you see the red. So Mike's creeping through the halls of Morningside again here. And is Mike going to look? Jody couldn't look, right? And he's saying, sorry, Daddy, but we had to. And his daddy's not in there. And Mike screams because he's probably got a pretty good idea what happened to his dad and his mom, too. I love that 360 shot. And here's the sphere here. And Jody disintegrates that one, but that's not the only sphere there is. And I think he feels like he just can't tell his brother that he discovered that their father's casket was empty. Oh, good, Bliss. Well, I'm glad you did find your charger. Can't tell you how many times I've lost mine. So Reggie is not dead. He shows up. He's like, Reg, you ain't dead. And he says, no, and I ain't 3'2" either. So Reggie says, I've been hanging in a casket playing like a stiff, but I did find the girls. He found Sally and Sue. And then we're to assume he found the fortune teller's granddaughter as well. And he snuck them out through a window and they ran off to the bushes. So now it's just the core three, Mike and Jody and Reggie. So we're going to find out that all these barrels in here are the dead waiting to be shipped to this red planet. We're not really told what planet it is, if it's Mars or it's somewhere else. But basically, the tall man, we're led to believe, is an alien who ships these barrels to his planet where um, they're slaves, basically. I have multiple chargers. I don't think I have 18, Coco, but I do have multiple chargers just because I misplace things so much. So this is going to turn out to be a gateway to the red planet, as you can see by Mike putting his hand through there, and it just go. We're going to find out it goes into another dimension, basically. Yeah, Bliss, well, I do the same thing. You say you always find lighters and chapstick. I keep losing things and find them in odd places. I lose my phone too. So Mike, almost fell into this other dimension here. And you can see the little Jawa looking creatures that are carrying some of the barrels. They're basically working as slaves. So Reggie and Jody pulled Mike out of that other dimension. Yeah, David, I do too. I love the you say I love the ambiguity about the ending. Ambiguity, sorry, about the ending. Russell, you say, Lamont, everyone knows one side of the effects of marijuana is the hungries or the munchies. Grady, weren't they in the Wizard of Oz? Lamont, that's the munchkins. Love that episode. Wild Parsley. I love Sanford and Son. That show is just great. So the room went dark, and Jody said, okay, stay together. And Mike says, I got a lighter. Oh, damn, that's one of those Jawa creatures there. And Jody says, over here, follow me. So Reggie's calling for Mike and Jody, and they're not answering because they're all of a sudden outside. Or Jody's outside looking for Mike. So the lights came back on. Reggie's in the room with the barrels by himself. These odd little things that look like a tuning fork, as we'll see here in a second. So I guess Reggie feels compelled to put his hands on these little bars. Yeah, that's the thing, Russell. I think that they've been going back and forth for years about, did Don Coscarelli kind of steal that idea, or I'm trying to remember exactly when Star Wars came out. When did Star Wars come out again? I know some of you are like huge Star Wars fans. So we're getting a lot of stuff going on here. So when Reggie puts his hands on those bars, the lady in lavender, aka the tall man, kind of stopped where they were. So Reggie really got hit in the head with one of these barrels, and you're going to see a red mark on his head. See that big red circle there? That's because he really got hit in the head. Yes, the brick home was called Steptoe and Son. So that's evidently how the barrels kind of get sucked into that other dimension. Yeah, actually, you said the iron bars thing seems almost like a 70s version of creepy pasta. So Mike's also outside looking for Jody. And this is where it gets really confusing because you have so much going on here. So Reggie comes stumbling out of the front of Morningside. The wind is blowing like crazy. So he's seeing the lady in lavender, and we're like, oh no, Reggie, don't. Just leave her alone. Don't go over there. And she stabs him with that little dagger knife. And Mike's still screaming for Jody. Reggie's in the process of dying, it looks like. All right, David, thank you. You say Star Wars came out in 77. Angus's first day on set was February 21st, 77. But who knows? He may have filmed the Jawas after seeing Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. I haven't heard really Don Coscarelli say one way or the other. So we see that flash of the lady in lavender turning into the tall man as Reggie seems to be dying here. So now Mike and Jody have found each other. Now they're looking for Reggie. Reggie doesn't look too good right now. So it looks like Morningside just kind of disappears. So things are shortly going to get extra confusing. But right now, Mike and Jody are trying to think of a way to get rid of the tall man. And they're talking about a mine shaft. We just got to figure out a way to get him up there. And so Mike's saying, what are we going to do without Reggie? And Jody says, he's the last one that bastard's ever going to get. X-Ray, you say, remember years back when they announced some brand new Phantasm trilogy reboot? They said it was going to be some big budget spectacle on par with the Star Wars movies. LOL. I must have missed that, X-Ray, and I'm glad it never came to fruition, to be honest. It was bad enough that Ravager wasn't directed by Don Coscarelli, where the rest of the franchise was. Oh my God, the tall man's there. He's busting through the glass. Mike's trying to get away while Jody's trying to take care of things where the mine shaft is. X-Ray, you say, yeah, it's news that sort of vanished right after. Same with the Troll reboot. Charles Band wanted to happen. There's the tall man again. I just, man, I love the way Angus Grimm does his, you know, he can just do the simplest things and it's just creepy. He says, "You play a good game, boy. Here's some more lines, but the game is finished. Now you die." So a bunch of gravestones are coming up. And Mike's times have "Don't fear," just like when he went to see the fortune teller. So there's the lady in lavender again. And Mike's telling himself once again, "Don't fear." X-ray, he said, "Lady in lavender, aka tall man," when he tucks it in. David, you say, "As much as England is Freddie, Angus is the tall man." Exactly. So the tall man, they've got the sign that says "Danger, open mine shaft hidden," because, Jody's already taken care of that. So Mike jumps over the mine shaft and the tall man falls in. But he's trying to grab Mike's foot. Mike gets away from him. And then Jody pushes all these boulders down on top of the mine shaft. So they think pretty much, well, I think Jody thinks they defeated the tall man, but Mike's not so sure. And then here's the real confusing part. We fade in to Mike and Reggie. Oh, it's like, oh, we thought Reggie was dead and that Mike and Jody were still alive. But it turns out that Reggie's saying, "You just had a dream. You had a nightmare. What did you expect? You've hardly slept since the funeral last week." And Mike keeps going on about the dream he had. He said, "First he took mom and dad, then he took Jody. We're finding out that Jody is dead. Now he's after me." And Reggie says, "Mike, that tall man of yours did not take Jody away. Jody died in a car wreck." And we see Mike standing at Jody's grave. And Reggie's telling him again, you had a bad dream. Now, I know you're scared, but you're not alone. And basically, Reggie's telling him, I'll take care of you. I know I can't ever take Jody's place, but I'm sure as hell going to try. So we're led to believe at this point that pretty much the whole movie has been a dream that Mike was having after Jody's funeral. So they're planning on going out on the road, or Reggie's idea is for them to go out on the road and so that's making Mike feel better. And he says, well, get on upstairs and get your gear together and we'll leave when the sun comes up. And then Reggie's just strumming on his guitar. Mike's going up to his room to get his stuff. And you see a picture of Jody there with his guitar and a dog. And oh my God, it's the tall man. And you'll notice he has significantly shorter hair here. It's because Angus Scrimm had a haircut. And he says, boy. And then Mike gets pulled through the glass. Or the mirror, rather. And written and directed by Don Coscarelli. So a lot of people probably the first time they watch this are like, what in the hell was that? But I think also a lot of the same people are going to say, but I loved it. It's like, what the hell? But I loved it. And I want to see more. And so, fortunately for us fans, we have 4 more movies after this. Sadly, I don't anticipate myself ever sitting down and watching Ravager again, only because it depresses me. You know, it is not the way I wanted this series to end. And I don't want to see anybody else play the tall man. I don't want them to reboot this series. I mean, I can't stop them if they do. But it would just be a poor imitation, in my opinion, of this great movie or this great franchise for the most part. I found something to like in all the other sequels to this except Ravager. And Ravager, I was just heartbroken, just absolutely heartbroken. I wasn't mad. I wasn't, extremely pissed off or anything like that. I was just sad that that was the last Phantasm. And I literally, if anybody out there likes it, like David said he liked it, I mean, that's perfectly fine, but I just cannot bring myself to watch it just because it makes me too sad. Um, X-ray, you say Phantasm Ravager sounds as unnecessary as Three from Hell. Yeah, I think Steve felt like Three from Hell was unnecessary too. X-ray, you say Three from Hell wasn't bad per se, but completely unnecessary and cheapened the ending of Devil's Rejects. Like I said, if they wanted to tie up Phantasm earlier on, within a year or two, possibly 3 at the latest, after Phantasm 4 Oblivion, it probably would have been a lot better. Angus Scrimm would have been in shape to do it. And probably Don Coscarelli would have been on board with directing it. But they just, people simply waited too long. They simply waited too long. And so We officially reached the end of Phantasm. I hope for those of you that were watching it, you enjoyed it. I apologize you only got stuck with me for the duration of it. As you know, even though a lot of you guys and gals tell me it's perfectly fine that I'm entertaining even by myself, I just don't feel as entertaining as when I have somebody else in here to bounce things off of. And I maybe could have sent Jay a link for him to join me on here, but I know that he knew that I was doing this watch along, and he didn't say anything about being interested in it. Um, hence, I didn't send him a link. But yes, David, I did meet Angus at a convention not long before he passed away. Uh, and he was a lovely man to meet. I said earlier, I think before you were in here, that when I met him, of course, he was not at all like the character of the tall man. He was very grandfatherly like and very gracious and just a sweet, sweet man. And when he passed away, we lost another great one. It is the way I think of it. Um, X-ray, you say Jay is too busy with his reps. It could be. Um, Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, great stream, Dana. I'm bummed that I couldn't find my charger. Well, you know what, Blissful? The thing is, I'm doing all these watch alongs and stuff, but nothing says that I can't wait a little while and then do watch alongs for the same movies. I mean, nobody, nobody's going to come on the channel and think and say, you've already done this watch along. You can't do it again. I mean, me and Steve did 3 damn watch alongs or commentaries for, Terror on Tour. How I got Steve to do that, I'll never know. But we did. And, so never fear. We, I may very well do another one for Phantasm. Or we might, also pick one of the sequels to do, as long as it's not Ravager, because I just, yeah, too depressing. But never fear. Like I said, I more than likely will end up doing, other, these live streams or watch alongs for many of the same commentaries. I just want to wait a little bit before I do them again. Um, So those of you that miss a watch along and want to be there live on, instead of watching it later and watching it on your own, you want to actually have this interactive experience, then yeah, you can rest assured that a lot, if not all of these, I'm going to do again at some point. No, we did not have a Dead Pit drive-by. I didn't see CK. I didn't see Uncle Bill. Now, uh, CK or Wes has told me that a lot of the times on weekends, he's spending it with Sarah and her family. A lot of times on the weekends, they have their nephew and he spends the night with them. He could be doing Dead Pit related stuff. Uncle Bill also, school's back in session. So anybody that has kids in school knows that there's a lot of stuff that goes along with the kids being in school. There are certain activities that the kids are involved in that he may be, you know, um, needing to be there for his kids. Russell, you say, love Don's old movie, Kenny and Company with young Mike and Reggie. I absolutely love Kenny and Company. And possibly I may be able to do a watch along for it at some point in time. Coco, you say, bust that hookah out and smoke something. If you view it again, will be a different version. Well, if I want to use the hookah for anything other than just having a flavorful experience, if I want to have an enlightening experience or an enhancing experience, then I'll need to get some of the shisha that has Delta 8 in it. I don't have that right now, but I want to get some in the near future. Yeah, yeah, that too, Blissful. I keep forgetting it's a holiday weekend. I kept thinking, oh, after Sunday I got to go back to work, but no, I don't. I get Monday off, and so does Steve. So we'll get to spend time with each other on Monday. Coco, you share a different experience. Yes, yes. Rosie, you say, Coco, too late for me. Blazing one right now. Um, so I know we still got 9 people left in here, but I don't want to keep you guys any longer um, than than is entirely necessary. But I do hope everybody enjoyed this watch along for Phantasm. I hope many, if not all of you, can join me for the Stand By Me watch along for tomorrow night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully, I won't have any technical difficulties and have to push it later. Um, and I don't know if I'll do something special for Labor Day. I may just surprise you guys and gals. So just, keep watch on the channel. And I know that there's some weird going on with the notifications, I think, sent through YouTube. But you guys and gals can always check out my Facebook page for Deadites on Deck, which I always try to put the promos for the watch alongs and the live streams and videos and all that I do, which I will put the Facebook page link in the chat for you guys. You have a great Labor Day as well, Russell, and everybody else in the chat as well. Coco says, smoke some banana peels, Dan. Just try them out for a while. Russell says that doesn't work, Coco. Have a great night, Blissful. Coco says, sounds fun, Russ. Being sober sucks sometimes, but the better version of me. David, you said the wife came in towards the end. I like her. She doesn't swear like the other Southern guys you watch, meaning CK and UB. Ha ha. Well, tell your wife I said thanks, David. At least she didn't hear me cursing. I try not to curse too much, but sometimes I do. Yes, also Instagram as well. Good night, Russell. But so anyway, as I always say, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. You guys and gals have a great night. I hope to see many, if not all of you, tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the Stand By Me watch along. And if I'm not on here for Labor Day, y'all have a fantastic Labor Day, and I will see you next time.